What's happening, YouTube and House of Dragon fans? This is going to be my episode 4 House of the Dragons review. It's one of your favorite black nerds, Lamont Tyson, bringing you guys my review of this show. And please subscribe if you haven't found me before. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, the TikTok, and you can download the podcast. Enjoyed this episode. I've been enjoying this whole entire thing so far. And in the beginning, you find the homie Rhaenyra at Storm's End, sitting there with Christian Cole and Borman Baratheon. And basically, this is nothing but a marriage tour that was set up by her dad, in which she needs to find someone to marry her, to wed her. And in the very beginning, she's just got jokes because you send a guy in there that's older than her daddy, so you send a geriatric person in there, then you send a damn 12-year-old who brave as hell. And then you've got some asshole over there in the corner who's making all kinds of comments and eventually gets his ass killed. I thought that was pretty funny. But none of those people are suitors for her because, first of all, she really don't want to get married. And even then, these aren't the type of dudes she want to marry. And so from the trailer last week, when I thought she was going to be going out to Dragonstone, she's actually coming back from Storm's End. And that's where you see the most anorexic dragon in the world fly past them. It is Caraxes, Daemon's dragon, flying overhead as they are going back to the Red Keep. And then we get Daemon going in there to meet the king. And he lets the king know that Corlys's men have named him the king of the Triarchy. Oh my goodness, this Daemon, he is a mess. And he's just letting the king know, I fought this war. I did everything you needed me to do. And look, I'm bringing you the crown and I kneel before you because you are the king of everything. And then I thought Viserys' punk ass was going to do something to him, but you know, we know Viserys, he's a punk, he doesn't like confrontation. He winds up hugging and loving his brother. Oh, what a family reunion. And then they get outside and they're at the God's Woods, Daemon, Viserys, and Rhaenyra. And Viserys is just sharing stories of how their parents thought that Daemon was the warrior and Viserys wasn't. And it was pretty funny to me to see them just having fun and laughing. And you know Otto is somewhere seething, bent over, mad as hell. Just upset that you done let this guy back in here. He's a red herring to the throne. And just because you don't want to have no problems, you let him back. Then they show Alicent and Rhaenyra. Apparently they have made up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a year has passed since the last episode. And I guess Alicent feels like she's been used. She feels like her daddy has used her to get clutches into the crown. And I think she's starting to have some feelings for Rhaenyra in terms of, man, I shouldn't have gotten involved in this. You're my friend. And I want you guys to also keep in mind that Alicent is a very religious woman. She has a problem with the Targaryens basically doing incest, sleeping with each other. And if you guys can remember the big war from the first Game of Thrones where the crown took on the religious people and how we know most religious people aren't beholden to the religion when you put their feet to the fire. But apparently her and Alicent are starting to become friends again and they're making up. And so then we see Rhaenyra and Daemon talking in Valyrian and just having a conversation about what's going on. And in this point, you can kind of see Daemon is starting to ramp up his flirting with his niece because she's of age now. You know, he's like, you know what, I might need to go ahead and get some of them royal princess panty draws. It's finally time for me to pop that cherry. You're older now, you're not a little girl. And I think that in the beginning he had the energy for her, but because she was so young, she wasn't of age, he didn't want to do anything for her. And then we cut to a scene where we've got the small council meeting and they're just talking to the king about how he can handle this fallout from the small crown and the House Valyrian by basically allowing Laenor to marry Rhaenyra. And that would sew up this dissension between one of the richest houses in all the land. And the king is for it. He realizes that's a good play and he's ready to make that happen. And then we get Rhaenyra back in her room and she has a package sent to her room. She's got some boy clothes. I guess the ladies nowadays would say you should have sent her some boy shorts. And he sends her a map of a secret escape. She uses that escape to hit the street to meet Daemon. Oh my goodness. Oh boy, that Daemon, boy, he's something. And we learned that on the streets, he's known as Lord of Flea Bottom because he summons the streets so much. And in the beginning, it seemed like he hated the people of the street, and now we learn that he doesn't. He loves these people, and I guess he was just trying to show a show of force to his brother in the beginning, but definitely they love him, he loves them, and he stays down here messing with women in the whorehouses. And then you get this play where they're basically picking on Rhaenyra, saying that she can't never be the queen because she's a woman, and she's ready to start running her mouth to these people saying, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. And then we get Daemon letting her know again that you need to listen to the people in Flea Bottom. They can give you a whole lot of great insight as to what moves you need to make when you become queen. And just in general, information that you need to know, because these common folks do understand what's going on. And Rhaenyra ain't trying to hear that. She ain't trying to hear none of it. Then they pass by some damn witch who tells Rhaenyra how she can die. And if you guys can remember, do you guys remember Maggie, the frog-looking lady from the regular Game of Thrones, when she gave Cersei her prophecy of how she dies? I think this is a harken back to that. And then we get back in here and we see that the king's skin cancer, or whatever they've got going on with him, has advanced even worse than what it is now. And Alicent takes over from all the other people that was watching this back, because in her heart, she really feels played this episode. And you can really tell that she's like, man, y'all just use me for my goodies, spit out a baby. And Rhaenyra tried to tell her. That's what they do here. Hence, Rhaenyra was told that by Rhaenys, who's one of the smartest people on this show. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we get into the whorehouse. And oh boy, the things that go on in there is like Las Vegas. What happens in the whorehouse should stay in the whorehouse. And then here is when Daemon starts to make his move on his knees. Boy, he turns that ass around. He sniffs the panty draws. And ladies and gentlemen, it looks like things is about to go down. He's got his hand on top of her hands. He's teased her a little bit. She teased him. Turns that ass around. And ladies and gentlemen, he moved away. Did he slip his head in there and it was too tight? Did she not back that thing up and twerk enough? But for whatever the reason, he stopped. And I think he stopped, ladies and gentlemen, because he really wants to do this the right way. Like, she's just not some piece for him. He really cares about his niece, and I think he really wanted to do it the right way. But I'm like, damn, dude, you done got her hot and bothered. You slipped your head in there, maybe you didn't, and now, you done got this girl revved up. What is her next move gonna be? Then, ladies and gentlemen, we get on with the pleasure giver Mysaria, who in this season seems to be taking the place of Lord Varys, because she's got little birdies all over the streets in the Flea Bottom, watching, understanding where everything is going. And she's in here talking to Daemon about his behavior, him being drunkard, him looking like he messing around with Rhaenyra. And she is the reason that little boy runs out of there and goes and tells Otto about everything that's going on. I kind of like Mysaria. I hope eventually we know she's probably going to die, but I like the way she's staying grounded and she's letting Daemon know, I'm not just a common person you find in those pleasure houses. I seek more. I want more. I'm more rooted and grounded than what you may believe, and I'm trying to save yourself from yourself. Then, ladies and gentlemen, I told you from the first time I saw Christian Cole, he was going to get Rhaenyra's panty draws. And ladies and gentlemen, Christian Cole is the panty dropper. He popped that cherry. He is the first one to get into them royal loins, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Christian Cole. And did you see the way she tried to tease him? I mean, she was hot and bothered thanks to Daemon. And I know she got to be mad as hell with Daemon. Got her all steamed up and bothered, took her to a pleasure house looking at, basically she was looking at porn in a in-person sense and ain't do nothing. And so the person that she really likes, Christian Cole, she comes back, gives him some. And then, ladies and gentlemen, The real definition of keeping men out of your ovaries winds up happening at the end of this episode, and I'll talk about that when we get there. We get Viserys and Otto. Viserys is talking to Otto about there's a rumor going on. Otto said there's a rumor your daughter was in the flea bottom in a pleasure house and she slept with Daemon. And Viserys don't believe none of it. He said he wants the eyes of whoever brought up this vicious lie. He wants to know who is the one leaking all this information, because you guys know there's little birdies all over the road. There's birdies all over the place watching everything. Otto's not giving up his secrets because he said that would basically impugn people who would in the future want to give up secrets. And at this moment, Viserys is not having none of it. Nope. His sweet daughter did not get herself soiled by her uncle. And then we get Alicent. Poor Alicent. You know, at one point in time, I was a little upset with her and frustrated, but as I've said before, she didn't have a real choice in the matter of what's going on with her. But in this moment, did you guys see the look on her face as she lays in the bed? Because while Christian Cole was digging in Rhaenyra, the king was digging in Alicent, and she was just laying there like a dead fish with her eyes looking at the sky. I think this is the moment she realized that women are pretty much nothing but pawns for the bidding of the men, and she's feeling like all I was put here to do was spit out a baby. My daddy pawned me off, and now the man that I thought that I cared about, I can really see the only thing he cares about is that heir. And I felt bad for her just laying there. Fellas, always make sure you give them some eye contact with anyone you're sleeping with so you can make sure they're enjoying it, faking it, whatever. But if they just laying there like that and you just digging in on them, there's something going on and you need to have a discussion about it. And I'm surprised King Varys didn't notice it, or maybe he just didn't care. He just needed to get his nut in, and he decided, I don't give a damn what she's doing. I'm going to do me. Then we get Daemon and Viserys having their meeting. He called Daemon in to chastise him about what happened. Did you really mess around with Rhaenyra? What really happened? And Daemon plays along with it as if he did. Now, the reason he's playing along with it is because he kind of wants to marry her because he knows this would solve a lot of the problems his brother is having. And he know in his heart he didn't do it, but marrying her would be the right way to go. And he's just basically telling him, look, if I marry Rhaenyra, we can make this thing happen and we can solve all these issues you're having politically. But Viserys is not really into the thing the Targaryens like to do, which is incest. He's not really too much into the incest, as he's highlighted in several conversations. And he's definitely not feeling Daemon doing nothing with his daughter. And he kind of punts on that situation. Then we get Viserys and Rhaenyra, and Viserys letting Rhaenyra know that the dagger, Aegon's dagger, was given to him and passed down through the family, and that Aegon had his pyromancers inscribe the Song of Fire and Ice on this dagger so that all who hold it can always remember that the White Walkers are something that they need to be thinking about and are a threat. But I enjoyed this conversation between father and daughter because daughter was talking about father's headaches. Father is saying that Rhaenyra is the source of all his headaches, and the way that they can solve this thing, let Rhaenyra marry Laenor, the son of Corlys, and it will all be put to asunder. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Rhaenyra decides, you know what? I can do that, but your ass need to fire Otto for getting all these lies out here, for spreading lies that ain't true. Fire his ass and I will do your bidding. And then at the very end, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, this is your morning after pill if you was living in the 1400s. This is another example of men having their hands on your ovaries in the 1400s. This is some moon tea, and God knows what this moon tea must taste like. It must taste like pure gasoline and donkey ass rolled into a liquid that's supposed to get rid of a baby and actually keep you, the human, alive. How does that work? But in any event, it's given to Rhaenyra by the Maesters, and the thing is, we never saw Rhaenyra drink it. which from what I'm understanding from my people that read the book, she did have a bastard child, and that bastard child was by Christian Cole. And it makes you wonder, will we see Rhaenyra pop up pregnant next week in that episode? Post your comments if you think we'll see that. And that's going to do it for this video. Don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, get that life game. Be sure to catch me live this Friday as I preview the next episode of House of Dragons at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I will do that with a nice little crew of Miss K, Nita the Diva, and Moochella as we go through and talk about this thing as a group of black nerds who love Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. And until that next sexy as hell video, I'll see you.